In the heart of the Arabian Peninsula, long before the advent of Islam, the Kaaba in Makkah stood as a sacred sanctuary. Though filled with idols at the time, it was revered by the Arabs as the House of Allah, built by Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail. Pilgrims from every tribe would gather there, giving Quraysh immense respect and honor as custodians of this holy sanctuary. But far away in Yemen, a new power was rising. Abraha al-Ashram, the Abyssinian general who seized control of the Himyarite kingdom. Originally sent as a commander of the Aksumite army, Abraha overthrew the rulers of Yemen and established himself in Sana'a. His reign was recognized by the Negus of Abyssinia, and soon he began consolidating his power across the Arabian Peninsula. Abraha was not content with ruling Yemen alone. He wanted to redirect the religious prestige of Makkah to his land. To achieve this, he built a magnificent cathedral in Sana'a called al-Kulais, a structure so tall and beautifully adorned that he hoped it would rival the Kaaba. His goal was clear: to make al-Kulais the new center of pilgrimage for the Arabs. But the Arabs, deeply attached to the Kaaba, were outraged. One man from the tribe of Kinana, furious at Abraha's arrogance, traveled all the way to Sana'a and desecrated the cathedral by soiling its walls. News of this insult reached Abraha, and his anger knew no bounds. Swearing an oath, he declared that he would march upon the Kaaba itself and demolish it brick by brick. Thus began the story of the Year of the Elephant, a story so significant that Allah himself revealed a surah in the Qur'an about it, Surah al-Fīl. Fueled by rage and arrogance, Abraha al-Ashram began preparing for the greatest military expedition Arabia had ever seen. He gathered an army said to number 60,000 men, heavily armed and disciplined, unlike the tribal forces of the Arabs. But what struck fear into the hearts of people was not the size of his army. It was the presence of war elephants. Among them was a massive beast named Mahmud, the largest and strongest brought from Africa. For the Arabs, who had never seen elephants before, this was a terrifying spectacle. Abraha's plan was simple: march from Yemen to Makkah, crush anyone who resisted, and destroy the Kaaba. On his way north, his army plundered tribes, seized their lands, and crushed any opposition. Many Arab tribes tried to defend their honor, but none could withstand the might of the elephants. When Abraha reached the outskirts of Makkah, near Al-Magmas, he began seizing property to terrorize Quraysh into submission. Among the seized goods were 200 camels belonging to Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of Prophet Muhammad. The Quraysh were horrified. Never before had an army of this scale marched upon their city. Some considered fleeing, others thought of resistance, but they all knew they were no match for Abraha's elephants. At this moment of crisis, Abdul Muttalib, the dignified leader of Quraysh, went to meet Abraha himself. The meeting would become legendary in history. When Abraha camped outside of Makkah, he summoned Quraysh's leader, Abdul Muttalib ibn Hashim, grandfather of the Prophet. Tall, dignified, and commanding respect, Abdul Muttalib walked into Abraha's camp without fear. Even Abraha, upon seeing his noble presence, descended from his throne and seated him beside him as an equal. Abraha expected pleas for mercy over the Kaaba, but instead Abdul Muttalib calmly requested the return of his 200 camels. Surprised and almost mocking, Abraha said, "I thought you would speak to me about the Kaaba, your sacred house, which I have come to destroy. Yet you speak to me of your camels?" With unshakable dignity, Abdul Muttalib replied, "I am the owner of the camels. The house has an owner who will protect it." These words struck Abraha deeply, though his arrogance blinded him. He dismissed Abdul Muttalib, returning the camels, but vowing to continue his march on the Kaaba. Abdul Muttalib returned to Quraysh and instructed the people of Makkah to evacuate the city, seeking safety in the surrounding hills. Then, with complete reliance on Allah, he stood by the Kaaba, held the door's ring, and prayed, "O Allah, a man protects his house, so protect your house. Let not their cross and their strength overpower your strength." With that, the Quraysh left the matter to Allah. The stage was set for an event that would shake Arabia forever. The next morning, Abraha prepared his army for the final march toward the Kaaba. His massive war elephant, Mahmud, was brought to the front, towering over men and beasts alike. The soldiers positioned themselves with confidence, certain that nothing could stop them. But when they urged the elephant forward toward Makkah, something miraculous happened. Mahmud refused to move. They pulled him by chains, struck him with iron hooks, and even wounded him. But the beast remained firmly planted, kneeling on the ground. Whenever they turned him toward Yemen, he would rise and move swiftly. When they turned him east or west, he would march without hesitation. But the moment they turned him toward the Kaaba, he collapsed on his knees, refusing to take a single step. This strange defiance shook the army. Whispers spread among the soldiers. Was this a sign? Was the Kaaba truly under divine protection? Abraha, however, blinded by arrogance, ordered his men to keep trying. But before they could force Mahmud to advance, the punishment of Allah descended upon them in a way no one could have imagined. As Abraha's army stood in confusion, struggling to move the elephant forward, the skies above Makkah suddenly darkened. From the horizon appeared flocks upon flocks of small birds, unlike anything the Arabs had seen before. These were the Ababil, sent directly by Allah as his soldiers. Each bird carried 3 stones of baked clay, one in its beak and one in each claw. Though the stones seemed small and insignificant, they were no ordinary stones. These were weapons of divine wrath. The birds swooped down upon the army, releasing their stones with precision. Wherever a stone struck, it tore through flesh, shattering bones and burning like fire. Soldiers fell screaming, one after another, their armor and weapons useless against the punishment of Allah. Panic spread. Men scattered in every direction, trampling over one another, but there was no escape. The mighty army that once terrified Arabia was reduced to chaos within moments. Even Abraha himself was struck. His flesh began to rot and fall apart piece by piece as he fled southward. By the time he reached Yemen, he was nothing but a broken, humiliated shell of a man. Soon after, he perished, his arrogance destroyed along with his army. The Kaaba remained untouched. The Quraysh, watching from the hills, witnessed a miracle they would never forget. Allah had defended his house, just as Abdul Muttalib had said. The house has an owner who will protect it. This event was so monumental that the Arabs marked their history around it, calling it al-Fīl, the year of the elephant, the very year in which the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born. And thus Allah revealed in the Qur'an in Surah Feel. Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the people of the elephant? Did he not make their plot go astray? And he sent against them birds in flocks, striking them with stones of baked clay, and he made them like eaten straw. The story of the year of the elephant is more than a tale of the past. It is a timeless reminder of Allah's power and protection. The Quraysh were helpless. They had no armies, no weapons, and no strength to defend the Kaaba. Yet Allah showed them, and all of humanity, that His will is enough to protect what He honors. This was the story of the year of the elephant, a reminder of Allah's power and protection. If you found this video beneficial, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more people can learn from these timeless lessons of history. May Allah keep our hearts firm on His path and grant us the wisdom to reflect upon the signs He has shown throughout history. Thanks for watching.